Sharing is caring, my parents said as my sister slipped my epilepsy pills into her hoodie pocket for the third time that month. Stop being so dramatic. It's not like you'll die without one dose. That's what my mom told me while I stood there shaking, not from a seizure yet, but from the realization that the two people who were supposed to protect me were perfectly okay gambling with my life. So tell me honestly, was I wrong for what I did next? Because by the end of this, my entire family was calling me selfish, cruel, even heartless. But all I did was refuse to let them treat my illness like it was community property. I'm the older sister. I'm 22 now, but this started when I was 19 and still living at home during college to save money. I was diagnosed with epilepsy when I was 15 after I collapsed during a school assembly. One minute I was standing with my friends, rolling my eyes at some boring speech, and the next I woke up in an ambulance, with a bitten tongue and terrified paramedics holding my shoulders down. After a few tests and a hospital stay, the neurologist explained it gently but clearly. I had a seizure disorder, and I would need to take medication daily, probably for the rest of my life. Missing doses could trigger seizures. Seizures could cause brain damage, or worse. At first, my parents were supportive. My mom cried in the hospital room and promised we'd handle it together. My dad researched everything about my condition, printing out articles and highlighting side effects. They set alarms to remind me to take my pills. They drove me to appointments. For a while, I felt safe. Then my younger sister, Lily, started having anxiety. Lily has always been the golden child. She's 3 years younger than me, pretty, dramatic, and very good at making every situation revolve around her. When I had my first seizure, she cried louder than anyone. When I came home from the hospital, she told everyone at school how traumatized she was from watching her sister almost die. Somehow, even my medical emergency became part of her storyline. A year after my diagnosis, Lily started complaining about panic attacks. She said her chest felt tight. She couldn't breathe. She felt dizzy. My parents rushed her to doctors just like they did with me, but the tests came back normal. No heart issues, no neurological problems. Eventually, one therapist suggested she might be experiencing generalized anxiety and recommended counseling before medication. Lily hated that idea. She didn't want therapy. She wanted a quick fix. That's when she first asked about my medication. "Don't your pills calm your brain down?" she asked casually one night while I was sorting them into my weekly organizer. I remember hesitating. "They regulate electrical activity," I said. "They're not anxiety meds," she shrugged. "Still, if they stop seizures, maybe they'd stop panic attacks too." I told her absolutely not. My neurologist was clear. My dosage was carefully calculated for my weight and condition. Giving them to someone else wasn't just stupid. It was dangerous. I thought that was the end of it. I was wrong. The first time pills went missing, I assumed I miscounted. I'm meticulous, but finals week had me exhausted. I noticed I was short 2 tablets and I brushed it off. Then it happened again. And again. The third time I knew. I started keeping the bottle hidden in my desk drawer under a stack of notebooks. A week later, I walked into my room and caught Lily standing there, drawer open, pills in her hand. "What are you doing?" I shouted. She didn't even look guilty. "Relax," she said. "I just needed one. I had a bad day." I felt my heart start pounding. "You can't just take them," I said. "I need those." She rolled her eyes and tossed one back into the bottle like she was doing me a favor. "God, you're so dramatic." "It's just one." I told my parents immediately. I expected anger, consequences, at least a serious talk. Instead, my mom sighed. "She's struggling too," she said. "Can't you be more understanding?" My dad added, "Sharing is caring. She's your sister." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. "This isn't a sweater," I yelled. "It's medication." But somehow I became the selfish one. After that, it escalated. Lily stopped sneaking and started taking them openly. "I'm borrowing one," she'd announce, already halfway down the hall. My parents would chime in from the kitchen. "Don't fight." If I protested, they'd accuse me of stressing her out and making her anxiety worse. It became this twisted dynamic where my legitimate medical needs were treated like inconveniences, and her self-diagnosed panic attacks were emergencies. One night I had a seizure in the bathroom. I remember feeling that familiar aura, the metallic taste in my mouth, the sudden wave of dread, and then nothing. I woke up on the cold tile with my head throbbing and blood near my eyebrow from where I'd hit the sink. At the hospital, the doctor asked gently if I'd missed any doses. I hesitated. I lied. I said maybe I'd been careless. I was embarrassed to admit my sister was stealing from me, and my parents were allowing it. That seizure changed something in me. I started counting every pill obsessively. I confronted Lily again, this time recording the conversation on my phone, because I felt like I was going insane. She laughed when I accused her. "You're acting like I'm poisoning you," she said. "You still have plenty." I didn't, though. Insurance only covered a strict 30-day supply. Early refills were nearly impossible without paying hundreds of dollars out of pocket. When I told my parents about the seizure and suggested Lily's theft might have triggered it, my dad actually got angry at me. "So now you're blaming your sister for your condition?" he snapped. My mom shook her head. "You need to take responsibility for your health." I felt like I was screaming into a void. Here's where everything came to a breaking point. I had a huge scholarship interview coming up, one that could pay for my final year of college and finally get me out of that house. I was stressed but careful. I triple-checked my medication. The night before the interview, I noticed I was short again. 3 pills gone. My hands went numb. I ran to Lily's room and found the empty foil wrappers in her trash can. I lost it. I grabbed the wrappers and stormed to my parents. "She's stealing from me again," I shouted. Lily came out crying before they could even respond. "I was having a panic attack," she sobbed. "She doesn't care if I suffer." And like always, my parents rushed to comfort her. My mom turned to me and said the words I will never forget. "Stop being so selfish. She needs help too." Selfish. For wanting my own prescribed medication. So that's the situation I was in. My own family treating my life-saving pills like shared snacks, dismissing my seizures as inconveniences, and painting me as the villain for setting boundaries. Before I tell you what I did next, I want you to pause and really think about it. If you were in my shoes, terrified of another seizure, unsupported in your own home, constantly gaslit into believing you were overreacting, what would you have done? Would you keep fighting the same losing battle, or would you make a choice that could change everything? Comment below what you would have done, because at that moment, I had to decide whether keeping peace was worth risking my life. The next morning, instead of going to my interview right away, I went somewhere else first. I went straight to my neurologist's office. I told him everything. The missing pills, the seizure, my parents' reaction. I expected judgment. Instead, he looked horrified. He explained in no uncertain terms that my medication could be dangerous for someone without epilepsy, especially taken inconsistently. He also said something that hit me hard. If I knowingly allowed someone to take my prescription, I could be legally liable if they were harmed. That was it. That was the clarity I needed. With his help, I switched my prescription to a pharmacy that offered blister, packs with daily timestamps, and required ID verification for pickup. I also asked him to document in my medical file that my medication had been stolen repeatedly. Then I went one step further. I bought a small lockbox and kept it in my car, hidden under the spare tire compartment. Every morning, I'd take that day's dose and leave the rest locked away. The fallout at home was explosive. The first time Lily couldn't find my pills, she tore through my room like a tornado. When she confronted me, I calmly said, "They're secured." She ran to my parents, wailing about how I was withholding help. My dad demanded I bring the medication out and stop this nonsense. I refused. I told them what my doctor said about the legal risks. I told them about the documentation. I told them if the pills went missing again, I would file a police report for theft. You would have thought I threatened to burn the house down. My mom cried, saying I was tearing the family apart. Lily called me a monster. But for the first time, I didn't back down. I told them I loved them, but my health was not negotiable. If Lily needed medication, she needed to see her own doctor and get her own prescription. The real twist came a week later. Lily had what she claimed was a severe panic episode and demanded my pills again. When I refused, she admitted she'd never actually been prescribed anything because she'd stopped going to therapy after 2 sessions. She didn't want help. She wanted attention and a shortcut. My parents finally looked shaken. My dad asked her quietly why she hadn't told them. She shrugged and said she didn't think it mattered because she could just use mine. That was the moment the illusion cracked. Within a month, I moved out. I got the scholarship, nailed the interview despite everything, and used the funds to rent a tiny studio apartment near campus. The first night I slept there alone, with my medication safely in my bedside drawer. I cried, not from fear but from relief. I hadn't realized how constantly on edge I'd been. The aftermath is complicated. My parents eventually apologized, though it felt more like damage control than genuine understanding. Lily is now actually in therapy. I don't know if she ever truly grasped how dangerous her behavior was, but she doesn't have access to my medication anymore, and I haven't had a seizure since I started controlling my doses again. Sometimes I still replay their words in my head. Sharing is caring. Maybe that applies to clothes or food. But when it comes to your health, your safety, your survival, sharing isn't caring. It's reckless. Setting boundaries doesn't make you selfish. It makes you responsible. So was I wrong for locking up my medication? For threatening legal action against my own family? For choosing my safety over their comfort? Because if protecting myself makes me dramatic, then maybe dramatic is exactly what I needed to be. If you were on my side, like this video. If you think I should have handled it differently, tell me how in the comments. I genuinely want to hear your thoughts on this whole mess. And if you want more stories about messy families, impossible choices, and standing up for yourself when no one else will, make sure you subscribe. I'll see you all in the next story.